What are you hearing? I know you have so many of the young women coming to you, pregnant women and post-abortive women.
Right.
People don't understand the pain involved after an abortion. They have never heard this before. What kinds of things?
We don't want to hear it, Luann. You know, the View, that terrible program, The View, they had on the wonderful actress Jennifer from the summer of '42.
Oh, Jennifer O'Neill.
Jennifer O'Neill.
I can't believe they let her on.
And she attempted to say in the middle of the show, you know, I'd like to say to women who are watching, the worst mistake of my life, she said, was the abortion I felt myself pressured into having because a man told me I had to. And she said, and I've lived with the nightmare of what I did for so many years. If I could stop women from having to suffer through what I suffered through, I'd like to. Well, don't you know, that whole team of people jumped on her. Who are you to tell women what to do? And she said, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm saying, I lived through it. It was a tragically painful thing. I don't want to see you have my pain. And they were vicious to her. Just they didn't even want to hear a woman say, I had an abortion and it was awful. I had as one of my guests the actress Patricia Neal, who won the Academy Award back in the 1960s for Best Actress. And when I asked her, of all the things in your life you'd like to change, she said, God, in the early 1950s, I got involved with Gary Cooper, I got pregnant. She said, if I could do anything over in my life, I wish I'd had the courage to have that baby instead of having that abortion. Well, here's a woman who had this abortion almost 50 years ago, and yet even now she's regretful. So you're right on target. We think you can just have it and the problem goes away and everything's fine. Not the way it goes. People who are sensitive are going to feel the reality that there was once life and possibility here, and now there's this great emptiness, this great sorrow. So I think we're fooling ourselves and not talking about it openly.
Well, what about, you talked also about the girls that come in and they're pregnant and they are hurting in unique ways because they are acting out for reasons that are not, it's just so painful.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the reasons.
Yeah, you know, I'd given a talk earlier today to teenagers and talking about the non-sexual reasons for sexual behavior. And very, very often it's problems of self-esteem, lack of support at home, a desire for peer acceptance, the bargaining of young men who say, if you really love me, then you'll do this. All those reasons are never enough reason to be sexually active. And one of the results very often is, of course, teenage pregnancy. And we want to, of course, encourage them to choose life. We don't want to complicate the fact that they made one mistake in being prematurely sexually active by then complicating it further and having them have to be burdened with 20, 30, 40 years of memories of this abortion when there are alternatives. I don't think folks know that in this country we have 2 million couples every year seeking to adopt. And of the 2 million seeking to adopt, fewer than 50,000 will find a baby to adopt because we're aborting 1.5 million every year.
Say that again, 2 million.
2 million couples want to adopt.
To adopt.
Can't find a baby to adopt. Only 50,000 will find a baby in this country to adopt because 1.5 million babies that might have been adopted are aborted. There's so many facts about this abortion debate that the more we know, the better it is. I'll give you another example. In Europe, which we celebrate so much in the Obama administration, we want to be more and more European. Well, in Europe, there's no such thing as late-term abortion. You can have an abortion in the first trimester, but this insanity of second and third trimester abortion is an American phenomenon. We're out of control compared to the no, not at all. You have a place like Germany. You have the first 12 weeks to have an abortion. If you don't have that abortion in the first 12 weeks, you're not going to have it. And there's a logic to that. Europe embraces that we, as the most permissive abortion society, haven't gotten yet. That Roe versus Wade said no restrictions. Now people say, no, that's not true. They need to read Doe versus Bolton, the follow-up decision that said that if a woman has other reasons for not wanting to have the baby, they can be emotional, psychological. She can choose to have the abortion. Health covers everything.
Big loophole, you can drive a truck.
But most Americans would not agree that it's right to be having abortions in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th month. No. I remember Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, who's had 5 abortions, said in one of her books, she said, you know, but for me, she said, around the 4th and 5th months, you got to stop, she said, because for sure it's a child then. Then they tried to trip her up, and they said, well, why does it become a baby at 4 or 5 months? Wasn't it a baby before? And she said, I can't get into that. But the games we play, the mental gymnastics of saying, it's a baby if I want it to be a baby, but if I don't want it, then it's just a mass of tissue. You can't have it both ways. It's either a life that deserves protection or it's not.